Hello and welcome, Fortnite fans. We are here and we are live week 9 of the Indiana Esports Network. Coming hot at you, I'm FBI Tugboat. Join with me, Logan Summit. Logan, how are you feeling?
I am feeling absolutely awesome, bro. It is so great to be back here. I love Fortnite. I love the Indiana Esports Network. And it's so great to be part of this scholastic esports conglomerate, if you will. And also, I got to say, Happy New Year to you, my friend. It's good to be back. Nice mustache. You're looking good.
Thank you, sir. And that's Happy New Year and Happy Birthday to me. New Year's Day, baby, over here. I want to give a huge shout out as well to Zotac. Yes, we want to give a huge shout out to Zotac Gaming for supporting scholastic esports within the great state of Indiana. You can show your appreciation for Zotac Gaming by giving them a shout out on social media. Make sure to join their community on Discord and do use the hashtag powered by Zotac or Zotac USA. When you post Zotac, that's Zotac. Logan Summit, looking fine yourself over there in an active, busy esports lab over there, right?
Yeah, I am live and in charge here at the Valhalla Esports facility in Viva Las Vegas, and I'm having a blast, man. I mean, you can see behind me all the TV screens, all the good stuff. Look, dude, when we were younger, wouldn't you love a place to be able to come down and actually game at outside of your basement? Dude, with coaches and people who care and a community who is like-minded just like yourself, trying to be the best at their ability, dude, man, that's why I'm here. And all these kids watching at home should look it up and find a Valhalla near them so that they can game to the best of their ability.
Absolutely. Taking a look at Hobart, 3-4 as of right now. Logan, Scottsburg on the other side, sitting pretty at a 7-1 record. Talk a little bit about these two teams. I mean, the big note here, of course, is that that 7-1 squad, Scottsburg again, lost to Alexandria Monroe in week 1. Logan, that was 8-7, a rather close match.
Yeah, really close match, right? And you know what? That has to speak on both teams because offense, defense, how do you play against each other, and how do you get into the best place for you to be able to move on to the next? Now, both of those teams, I wouldn't think that's a loss for them, right? That is a learning experience. Whether you won or it came down a little bit on the bottom end of that, it wasn't a loss as long as you learned something from it, because those experiences are what raise that bar and allow you to be better as a team.
No, I cannot disagree or cannot agree with you more. Excuse me. Like we always say here within the IEN, they're not winners and losers; they're winners and learners. Frequently, traditional sports, esports doesn't really matter. The folks that go forth and lose an individual match, especially not something big like a postseason heartbreak, right? You end up learning more from that loss that you can go forth and use later on in the regular season. Speaking of this regular season, in case you're unfamiliar with the IEN, everybody does make it in some form to the postseason. All of these regular matches will be decided by seeding, right? That'll be the big influence in Logan, as we know. Going in as 16th seed or something like that, having to play number 1 seed very first round in a single elimination postseason, it can be tough sometimes. Speaking of the competitions themselves, we're going to have 5 rounds of box fight, 5 rounds of gunfight, and 5 rounds of zone fights, right? So, or zone wars, excuse me. So, what that means, of course, for all the math whizzes out there, right? What that means is, generally an 8-7 win would be a win, and that would be it. But they're going to be playing all 15 rounds no matter what, Logan. So, an 8-7 barn burner, 15-0, it's all possible. Given that it's Scholastic, we're going to play all 15 rounds.
Let's go. I'm excited, man. I love Fortnite, and I know a lot of the young heads out there, as they would say, are not excited about the South Park iteration of it. But I love the way that Fortnite is able to bring the IP in and use it to the best of their ability. I wish COD would do the same, but here we are.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the crossovers right? The crossovers have been so interesting within the past few years, and really the king of the crossover. It's a great game of Fortnite. If you're unfamiliar with these game modes, box fights will be essentially a blend between building and cross-platform shooting, right? Two floors high, two flights high, right? So they'll be able to build up, go all the way through, and really it's going to be a lot of quarter play at that point, Logan. Going on to gunfights here, this will be individual rounds all the way through, right? And they'll be looking at a situation where there are impermeable walls up, right? Big open like arena, but tall impermeable walls up that are higher than them, so no half walls, right? Everybody gets the same weapon to go forth and dish out their own brand of chaos.
Well, here's the crazy part about this new iteration is a lot of the hardcore competitors that I've talked to, they're not exactly sure about what guns are the best, but I can put this out there for you. You need to have two guns. You need to have a machine gun of some sort, some kind of AR, and you need to have a shotty like a melody in my head. You need that shotgun. And then you're going to need some sort of utilization, whether that be a jump pad or a fly suit, but you're going to have to need movement. Then you need shield and health. And that's your entire build out right there. I mean, I know it sounds easy when you break it down like that, but I see a lot of competitors running around with green guns because they're not sure what guns they want to actually utilize in this new season. So we're going to see a little bit of up and downs with that. We're going to actually see what the best weapons are and how they're going to be able to put them into play.
Yeah, and a lot of what the huge point that Logan's making is because within zone fight you'll actually go forth, and this is like basic, like think you're next to last, like so third from last end zone in a normal Fortnite match. That's about the size that it's going to be starting out at, maybe fourth to last, whatever. Right. The point is, and like what Logan was referring to, or what part of what Logan was referring to, is that they'll have their pick of the litter when it comes to loot. So obviously, gunfights, for example, they're all going to have their own. Zone fights, though, you'll be able to pick all of that through, and that circle will just be more standard, traditional. Fortnite will get smaller and smaller. Now across those rounds, expect at least one, maybe two, right, Logan? Just hearken from the past of these to go all the way down to the zero, right? Close all the way off, and then it's just a heel off between these two teams. The strats really peak out within zone fights because gunfights is just so much more like ability and aiming and shooting and diving capabilities, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the things that I like to see towards the end of everything, when you get into that final circle, I call it skywalking. All right. You need to build high and you need to build above and be able to walk out and do what Cardi B says. What, baby? She talks about weapons and positioning. Okay. And that's what it's all about. You have to put yourself in the best position to look condescendingly down at the rest of everybody playing and be able to take them out. And you have to have all of the mats. And if you're a neophyte to Fortnite, kids, mats, that's short for materials. All right. Got to get there. It's just like everything else. The three little pigs, right? Wood is easy. Well, brick is harder. And steel is the hardest. So you got to get out there, get those mats early, and be able to put yourself in the best position. So at the end of that circle, you are able to just decimate the competition.
Yeah, they talk about resources and resource denial really being a part of any traditional sport for the past 1,000 years or whatever, right? Or any esport now, right? And the one essential resource that everyone would talk about traditional sport, esport, is time, basically, right? Most competitions being timed in traditional sports outside of baseball. I guess that's really the biggest example that I can think of. Obviously, everything within esports is generally outside of like your Rocket League overtimes or something like this are generally going to be timed as well. So that's your first resource that you always really have to go to. Now, you could talk about time being a resource within zone fights, like a chronological resource, which is really just a fancy caster way of saying time, right? Within gunfights and box fights, I don't think we're going to have to worry about time as much right there, but we definitely will need to talk about maintaining that. And if you're at a disadvantage, because obviously going into that last circle with multiple members at full health, whereas one can go forth and actually shoot, and the other one can just worry about healing off. If you're looking at one player on the other side, the math is already done for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, these players need to think about. All right, here's the issue. I talk to a lot of these young players out here who are a lot better at Fortnite than I am. And they talk about, look, you can go on and get those kills early. You can drop hot and do that. But to be honest with you, placement makes more points. So a lot of these players are going to be able to make s'mores, if you will. They're going to camp out a little bit here and there. They're going to take breaks in the middle. It's going to slow down because everybody's going to be really focusing on trying to get that top placement. You need to get that top 10 placement for yourself to be able to move forward. Now, does that make for exciting gameplay? Sometimes, no. Other times, yes, because then you break down. And with the stick of truth now, let's talk about this. You can move that storm wherever you want it if you grab that mythical weapon and make it part of your utilage. So at the end of the day, it'll be exciting to see how the strategies play out and exactly how they're going to go about it as a team. Now, there's two forms of thought. You either stay together and play together, or you allow somebody to get up high, have that overwatch, and then allow another player, your teammate, to go down and kind of field it out, if you will. I prefer to stay with my team, but I have noticed a lot of competitive players lately in duo form getting around each other and allowing each other to play their own game. I don't know how that's going to work out. It depends on the team, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in real time.
It will be interesting. Good news is this game will be played, and we will have results for these two teams at the end of this three-format competition. The bad news is, unfortunately, is that Fortnite is once again giving us issue, and our spectator is not able to actually join this match. So really, really unfortunate, and I'm sorry to have buttered you guys up a little bit and kind of presented this as all of this stuff. If there's maybe a team stream or something like that, given that this is high schools or middle schools or something like that, not 100% sure if there will be a team stream. Feel free to go to check that out, folks. I do want to pay the bills before we get on out of here. I want to give a shout out to LandFest. This broadcast is part of LandFest's Scholastic Esports program, a program that supports this league and many others. Since launching, LandFest has delivered over 300, my goodness, I can't read numbers, 300 broadcasts to Scholastic leagues in the great states of Washington and Indiana. We provide these broadcasts free of charge to the leagues, schools, and of course the teams we cover. Now, your generous donations, do of course make this possible. Every $200 raised, in fact, covers the operating costs for one of these regular season broadcasts. If you appreciate the work, and if you so choose, scan that QR code on your screen right now, donate today, or landfest.com/scholastic if you're on your web browser. Then we also want to give a shout-out to LOS Portal. Yes, that is the League OS Portal. Do you want to play esports in college? I certainly would have liked to. Now you can search for hundreds of collegiate esports programs and university programs at portal.leagueos.gg, just like I said it out right there. Now, scholarships exist for players, shoutcasters, and more. So list all of your talents over there on your prospect profile. Verified collegiate coaches are searching the LOS portal right now to find players just like you. So IHSEN students, you can sign in to manage your prospect profile where your stats are automatically updated match over match. For example, Hobart, Scottsburg, after they've actually finished this and it's all done and dusted, all that information will go onto League OS portal. And of course, folks, LOS portal is free. Now don't miss your chance to get discovered. Visit portal.leagueos.gg and level up your future today. day. Logan, I was really excited to cover these. Again, this box fights, gun fights, zone wars with you for the first time in 2026, but that is not going to happen here on the day. I want to give a huge shout out to our production staff, Connie, Taylor, Wilhelm, coming on in here to try and support here as well. Unfortunately, server's just not working with us, folks. Logan, do you have anything else for the good people before we do bid them adieu for the day?
Well, first and foremost, Happy New Year to everybody that we haven't wished it to, and Tugboat and everybody behind the scenes. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be able to come in here and do a little bit of casting, even though we didn't get to talk about a little bit of Fortnite, but we did. You know what? It'll be exciting the next time we see you.
Exactly. Now, speaking of the next time, perfect segue there, Logan. Rocket League tomorrow, that is Thursday. That is Thursday, January 29th, start time 2 p.m. Pacific. That is, of course, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. FBI Tugboat, Logan Summit, appreciate you guys for tuning in, even though it was obviously not exactly what we all expected, and we'll catch you on the flip side.